Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as I'm driving home from work. Made a video earlier today touching on this subject. Talked about the fight backstage between Shane McMahon and Brock Lesnar. I honestly thought that was going to be a bigger story than it was today. I'm surprised that it's not what everyone in the world is talking about on Twitter and everything like that. But you know, Brock Lesnar re-signed with WWE. As of this time, it's only known that he re-signed for a short period of time. It's a short-term contract. We don't know if that's, just one fight. We don't know if it's 1 year. We don't know if it's 6 months. Basically, honestly, nobody knows anybody. At this time, it's widely presumed that it's only for one more match for Brock Lesnar to go wrestle on the Saudi Arabia show. That's going to be the world's greatest Royal Rumble. Honestly, the worst pay-per-view, special/pay-per-view name of all time. How they couldn't have come up with a name like Beast in the East, like when Brock went to Japan to wrestle that match against Kofi Kingston. It was also sort of widely known as the time that Finn Balor won the NXT Championship from Kevin Owens, returning to Japan. I understand that they wanted to, sort of make up for Brock Lesnar being on that show, but to name the show after him when it wasn't even really the main event. It wasn't even the main event. It wasn't even in like the last match. It wasn't even the second to last match. It just was on the show. So it is what it is. But on that Saudi Arabia show, Brock Lesnar is going to have a match against Roman Reigns. This is going to be a steel cage match. I know. I went out there on a limb. I told you it was at 100% guarantee. I told you to bet the farm that, Brock would not be walking out of WrestleMania 34 with the championship. And I was wrong. Honestly, I think I was wrong on just about every championship match on the night other than the Nia Jax match. I was wrong about Charlotte. I was wrong about AJ. I was wrong against Brock. So maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about at all. But to me, I'm guessing that they're trying to make that Saudi Arabia show huge. Obviously spending the money to send 50 superstars over there. Honestly, it's probably going to be 50 plus. Because if 50 guys are going to be in that Royal Rumble, I can guarantee you that one of them's not going to be Brock Lesnar. So you obviously already have to send 51. And how many guys, they already said there's no girls going to be allowed on the show. But, how many guys are going to, only work once, of the match. There's 7 championship matches that are going to be on there. But Brock is going to have the match against Roman. It's going to be in the steel cage. Steel cage matches normally end with somebody going over the top. So, I understand if Brock is leaving, Brock's going to UFC, Brock might not want to do the job on the way out the door. So obviously getting pinned or submitted, Roman Reigns, I don't think has a whole lot of submission moves, if any. But, Brock might not want to lay down because it might, hurt his look on the way out the door. Going to UFC, I think everybody knows that wrestling is predetermined, fake, whatever you want to call it. So I don't really know how it would hurt him. I know that there's a lot of guys that probably look at Brock Lesnar, size him up, and think that they could take him in the UFC octagon. There's probably a lot of guys out there that don't want anything to do with the guy, no matter how old he is at the same age. I can tell you that I wouldn't want it. But to me, Roman going over the top or escaping out the door to become champion is pretty weak in my eyes. The steel cage match was a great match when I was a kid, but the older I get and the more I think about it, why should the guy who was running away from the fight, who climbs over the top of the cage and escapes it, the guy who wins it? Honestly, in my opinion, it should be the guy who wants to stay in there and fight the longest. The steel cage match was always sort of determined as, the way to settle the score between two guys and, say basically, this is it. after this one, this is going to determine the feud. They're going to go in different directions, and you know, that's going to be all she wrote. And basically, that's how it's going to come down to who won that feud. Roman climbing over the top or escaping out the door to win the championship. WWE is honestly going to make it seem like it's the most earth-shattering thing to ever happen to WWE. The crowning of a new champion, the moving in a new direction, even though we've been trying to crown Roman as the #1 guy in WWE for quite some time now, and it has not taken off. People didn't like that WrestleMania match who were there at all. I think that people wanted WWE to know that they're ready to move on from Roman Reigns. They chanted that this is terrible, boring, just about everything that they could think of. They gave it to that match, and maybe that's why when Brock walked to the back, maybe that's why Brock was so pissed that the match that was supposed to be his last match in WWE at WrestleMania was not a instant classic that everybody loved. But then again, I don't think Brock really cares what people think about it at the same time. I'm really looking forward to this show. I think I'm going to go into it with not the hugest expectations of all time. Like I said, I mean, this is pretty dumb to say, but to me, the name is the first thing alone that I knock about this show that makes me think that it's not going to be the biggest deal of all time. Because, I mean, that Beast from the East show, other than Balor winning the NXT title from Kevin Owens, I mean, nothing really happened. The main event was a match between Dolph Ziggler and John Cena teaming up against, teaming up against Corporate Kane and Wade Barrett. So it is what it is. You know, I'll tell you, even though you probably lost it all on WrestleMania, scrape up what you got and take it to the bank. Bet it all on Roman to get the win here. We could have get swerved again, but WWE swerving us twice with Brock beating him. I'm not sure, but you know, like I said earlier, this could end up becoming like the whole CM Punk. When the news broke that he'd signed to go to WWE developmental, you know, they always kept on treating his ROH matches like this is his last match, and he'd go out there and he'd win, and it ended up being, you know, the big surprise, the summer of Punk, him going town to town and beating guys, and everybody was like, well, he won that last one, so he's gotta lose this one, because there's no way he can keep that championship and go to WWE with it. So it ended up, you know, creating a lot of people talking, and maybe that's something that WWE will do, where they can, you know, make everybody think that this is the last Brock match, and he just keeps going out there and winning, and they just keep it quiet about when that contract that he signed obviously ended. So who knows? Roman could go in there, they could ring the bell, and he'd do a whole Brody versus Lex Luger and just climb out of the cage as fast as he could, and they could give the match to Roman, and he wins, and it's the new Saudi Arabia screw job. So we'll see. I don't know really what to expect from this. I know that they're having a lot of matches on this show, so Cena versus Triple H is going to be really fun. I know that there's no championships, there's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no gimmicks or anything that goes along with it, so we'll have to see how it plays out and what it really means in the long run. I was surprised that they actually talked about it on WWE Monday Night Raw, because I remember that Beast in the East show, NXT plugged the hell out of it, and when it came down to Raw and SmackDown, I don't think they even talked about it at all. So I'm looking forward to it. It's on a Friday. It's in the middle of the afternoon. So we'll check it out, and we'll see where we go from there. Peace out, everybody.